Distance can be a major barrier to accessing quality healthcare on time. That's where Angel Flight East comes in. Welcome to Takeoff Talk with Angel Flight East, a nonprofit dedicated to providing free flights for children and adults who need medical treatment far from home. We don't know how many people forego medical care because they don't have accessible transportation, and that's what this podcast is here to change. Join passionate AFE staff members Jess Ames and Maddie Beck as they share real-life stories from people who have used AFE services to get the care they need when they need it.
Okay, so we are back with Takeoff Talk, and we would like to welcome our guest, Tami Gaines, who we have flown her son, Trey, a couple times.
Many times.
Yeah. So if you are comfortable, can you tell us about Trey's condition and how you found the Angel Flight East?
Yeah, so I'll tell you about his condition when we found you, because his condition now, thankfully, is different. So Trey is a twin preemie. They were born at 25 weeks, weighing 1 pound, 12 ounces each. And it was apparent from the very first hour that Trey was going to have pretty serious complications. So he was on a ventilator and had a trach, oxygen dependent. He eats through a G-tube. He just had a ton of equipment and a very poor prognosis. Every time the trach came out, he would basically die on the floor of his bedroom. So he was always in danger because he had no airway. After this had happened, this was going on for the first, 4 years of his life, 5 years of his life. And I finally said to my favorite neonatologist, Dr. Mims, if this were your kid, what would you do? Because this is unsustainable. Him, being gone 2 or 3 times a week is. And by the way, I have 3 other kids. So it's not just bad for Trey, but it was bad for all of us. We were always living in a constant state of is he going to come back? So
Right.
Dr. Mims said, if I were you, I would go out to Cincinnati Children's Hospital, where the world's leading airway repair surgeon is, Dr. Cotton, and I would go see him. So I made the call. We had a phone chat with his nurse. And they said, oh, yeah, Trey's a really great candidate. So you have to get here. So at this point, I'm a single mom with 4 kids, an ex who's not providing any financial support whatsoever. So I was in the city in New York City, my city, New York City, not your city, Philadelphia. I was in the city at a Starbucks talking to my cousin on the phone, explaining the situation. I started crying and she was like, all right, we'll figure something out. We got off and I was walking out and this guy stopped me and he was like, I overheard your conversation. And I was like, great. What is this going to be? But he was like, listen, there's organizations that they do medical flights. They take kids that are extremely fragile. And I found out later adults, and they fly them to their doctor's appointments in other states. So he said, I think the name is Angel Flight. See if you can do a Google search and find it. I did. I found you guys. And just for perspective for people, before we took air ambulances.
Oh my gosh. That is insanely expensive.
Literally. And air ambulances that had a nurse on board, in addition to the pilot and the co-pilot. And, we flew on a stretcher with all of his equipment. Yeah, that was a very long story, but that's how I got to you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, long story or not, it is always going to be my favorite how you found this story.
I just feel like that was divine intervention, because that was one of the lowest moments just in life in general. I don't know how I'm going to help this kid and help these other kids. It came at exactly the right time when I needed a little bit more motivation that this is going to be okay. I
really hope somebody listens to this eventually and comes to us and was like, I was the person who told her, because I always wonder who it was.
I remember exactly what he looks like. It's literally emblazed on my mind. That. I wish I knew who he was also so I could thank him. But we were in New York City. So I was also all right, cuckoo puffs.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get in this city.
I know. I was on the bus. I was Googling. I was like, oh my God, that guy was right.
Yeah. So like you said, you've taken quite a few flights with Angel Flight. Can you tell us about your favorite one?
No favorites. Don't do that.
Oh, I think you flew with Norm Clemmer once, didn't you?
Probably.
He's always a fun one to fly with.
I've flown with you guys. You've probably flown us 8 times, maybe 9. I can't quite remember, but I'm not going to name names because I appreciate all the pilots. They are compassionate. and they're patient. When Trey was littler, there was not a lot of interaction going on. But now that he's flown since he's a little bit older, they're like, hey, do you want to sit up front? Do you want to put the headphones on? And he says just yes to everything. He has autism, among other things. But it's been a beautiful journey, like watching Trey grow with these flights and his interaction with the pilots. Like we have pictures, but I honestly, I don't have a favorite. I just have a bunch of like amazing memories that each of them has given us. Everything from like, you probably haven't eaten and they gave me like Panera. Like they had Panera waiting when I hadn't eaten in like 3 days. And then there was a pilot, like our ride didn't show up and he was like, well, let me just like get all situated and I'll drive you to the hotel. Like that was so nice.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, they're all amazing.
It's so funny because they'll never tell us those little tidbits of how they go above and beyond until a patient tells us. And then we'll call them and be like, I can't believe you didn't tell me that. And they just do it because they want to help.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Maybe not the last flight. Sometimes the pilots come with their spouses or their partners and their kids. So that's even more fun. So yeah, one of the last flights I started chatting with the wife who was just like getting her PhD in like psychology. And she was really curious about like the psychology of like everything that we were going through. That was an amazing memory. We chatted for like 2 hours just about like life and how that happens. And then we exchanged information so we can keep in touch.
That's awesome. I feel like our pilots become the biggest part of these support systems for everybody involved.
Yeah, one of your pilots, like when Trey, you guys flew us out. We were supposed to be back in like 5 days. The operation went horribly wrong and we were stuck out there for 8 weeks. And the pilot called me like every couple of days just to check in. I called him to say like, we're not going to be there. I don't know when we're going to be there, but he's like, whenever Trey's better, I'll make sure I get there to pick you up. And he did.
Man, this always just makes me feel so much better about our jobs at Angel Flight.
Yeah. Don't ever underestimate like what you're bringing to the world because it's incredibly important.
So I know you mentioned that Trey had flown on an air ambulance a couple times. If it wasn't for Angel Flight, would you have continued that or would you have drove or just missed your appointments completely?
Once Trey was stable enough, the air ambulance wasn't even an option. So before I ever knew you guys existed, I actually drove him to Cincinnati by myself, which for a normal like trip, it would probably be like a 10-hour drive, maybe ish. It took me like 23 hours because I was by myself. I had to keep stopping. I ended up having to get a hotel room because I was so exhausted. So yeah, I did that drive like 3 times. That's when I was telling my cousin like, oh my God, I don't have it in me. I can't do that drive again. It was like nuts. And he was on a ventilator. So I had to like stop and I had to do like medical care every 45 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
So never an option not to go to his treatments because that would mean he wouldn't be here with us today. Like I can tell you that was never going to be an option. Hitchhiking, 18-wheeler. I don't know. The back of like a farm cart.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the perfect definition of moms are superheroes.
If I could fly, I would have flown them like on my back.
Oh.
But no,
so can you tell? Oh, go ahead.
No, we just do what we got to do. And now you guys are all part of that, which is great.
And that leads right into my next question. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about Indigo Kids?
Oh, yeah. So during this entire journey, so the twins are 17, by the way. So I've been doing this for 17 years and I've been doing it the hard way. When I had this idea like in 2015 that I should start an association for families that have kids with special needs and just surround them with resources that they don't normally get. So insurance is awesome, but they don't cover everything. They can't tell you certain things. With my friend Sharon Weber, we decided to start an association for families that have kids with special needs, and it's called Indigo Kids. And we're just like soft launching right now. But there's a couple of big buckets of help that we realize families need. One of them is resources. Not like you can't really rely on Google. You want to make sure you have like solid resources that talk about like, here's how you get through an IEP meeting. Here's how you can manage your other siblings when this is going on. Another bucket is travel, which is where you all now fit in. But traveling with a kid with special needs, which I've flown commercial with Trey, and it is really hard. So we partnered with a travel partner who only flies special needs families. So they do door-to-door concierge, all your special requirements are all worked out, by them, which is great. We are doing there's a whole parenting piece, which is really like a university for parents, which is like all sorts of courses on like, here's how you get through this. So the idea is that we just put together about 8 different services that I think would really change families if they had help. And it's not stuff you can easily find anyplace else. So that's ourindigokids.com if you want to check us out.
That's incredible. There's so many amazing resources out there for families, and I don't think they're talked about enough.
They're hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I looked out. The way I met Sharon, my partner, is that she was Trey's family coordinator when he was like 6 years old. So that was her job back then. Like her job was to come to these meetings and offer resources. Like, do you have food in the fridge? Is your electric going to stay on? What do you need? Like, that's literally her job was, what do you need? I could help you find it. I think that's part of the system that's really broken. Like access to information, the fact that people don't know you exist. I mean, a lot of people do, but most people probably don't. Like, it's because it's like a treasure map. Like finding the help that you need is crazy.
Yeah, you can get lost in a deep, dark Google hole that you'll be in for 3 hours and not find the right resource that you were looking for.
Or find out that it's like an ad for something else. It's not even actually a resource. It's like, click here and you'll get, a free screwdriver or something.
Yeah. Literally every time I give a presentation about who we are and what we do, I always tell people my biggest goal is to make us not be that ad on Facebook where it's like, look at how cute these shoes are. And you go to a website and it's like Shein, where it's like, you might get your size. It might fall apart. Exactly. Like, I promise we're actually what we say.
It's so true, though. That's why when we were building out the association, I was like, we need to have verified information. Like one of our services is professional services, like access to lawyers, accountants, financial planners that specialize in the special needs community. So we already vet them. That's the problem with Google. You could look at some reviews, but at the end of the day, like you actually do want someone to talk to these people and see if they're legit, if they can do what they say they're going to do.
Yep. Unlike Craigslist, which is where they found me.
Sometimes Craigslist, it works. Look at you.
Yeah.
Listen,
so can you
something?
Craigslist was all
I know.
we had back in the day.
I know. 8 years ago, it was a great referral source. I wouldn't trust it now, but 8 years ago, it was legit.
We need to get Craigslist to sponsor us.
I know. I'm a Craigslist success story.
Yeah. Reputation management right there.
Yeah. So can you tell our listeners what your experience was flying in a small airplane?
Yeah. So I've had many experiences. So I lived in Charlottesville, Virginia for 3 years. And that was the smallest airport I've ever seen. And the planes they were tiny. They only held like 8 people or 12 people. That was my first experience. That airport was so small, I could call on my way to the airport and say, there's fog and I'm on my way. And they would hold the flight because it was so small. They'd be like, Tammy's on her way. Everybody did it. So that was I had a couple of really scary experiences because of bad weather, and those planes bounce around a lot more than when you're in a big giant plane. So I was hesitant when I took my first flight with Trey, and the pilot met me in the hangar and he's like, let's go out to my plane. I'm like, where's your plane? Like, that's your plane? I'm like, it's so cute. Like, it's very tiny. So I was scared. I'll be totally honest. Like, I'm not a good flyer anyway. And I had Trey. So I'm like, oh, something goes down. Like, this guy better save Trey instead of me. Like, I had all of that like in my head. But anyway, ended up being amazing. Like, super smooth flight. He was able, he adjusted, with they're all extremely experienced. And I'm not afraid anymore. Like, I would rather fly the small planes now than the big planes. So yeah. It was good. The only hitch is you have to make sure you don't have more than 40 pounds of luggage.
Yeah, that's always the hard part. I feel like a lot of people show up and they're like, oh, you were serious. Like, actually 40 pounds?
Including me.
Yeah.
I had to ship stuff and FedEx stuff like from the hangar, because the problem is Trey has so much equipment and he eats a special diet. It's cans of food. So for every can of food I bring, it's one less pair of underwear for me. By the time I get all of his like food and equipment packed, I have like a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, and the clothes I'm wearing. So thanks, Trey, for that. Thanks.
Yeah. I agree, though. I would much rather fly in a small airplane just because I like to see what the pilot's doing. And in a commercial airplane, if you hear weird noise or you hit a bump, you're just like, I hope this is okay. I don't really know what's going on up there.
Well, I'll tell you that here's a benefit that I've never probably even told you, but the last time you flew us, Bria came, Trey's twin sister. And
yeah.
she has never come to Cincinnati before, mostly because it's too hard to manage like both of them at the same time. But now she's older. She's a junior in high school and she's interested in technology and engineering. So we were chatting with the pilot and he was like, well, why don't you sit up front? She was like, what? So she sat up front.
Fun.
She flew the plane for a few minutes. Like she had the headphones on. So that was like, she could not stop talking about that, which is great because mostly up until recently, like her life has been literally in the shadow of Trey. So I thought that was such a great moment. Like you're here with Trey and it's not all about Trey for a change.
That's awesome.
That was an amazing. She wrote an essay about it. That's how moved she was.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love that. Girl power.
Girl power. She's like, I might want to be a pilot.
You guys should check out STEM Flights. They are an organization that use small planes and let kids come and like explore and find out what it's like. And it's a lot of fun.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I'll send you the link later.
Oh my God, that's amazing. She's going to mind blown. She's going to lose her mind.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Okay. But that being said, what is a final thought that you want to leave our listeners with?
I have a really general thought, which is just hold on to possibility. Like when you think there's no way out, a way will be made. Like it's possible. Like the fact that I met that guy in Starbucks, like how did that happen except for divine intervention? Like I don't even drink coffee. I was in there to get some water. So yeah, I would say like, just always believe that there is a way. And if it feels like there's no way, a way will be made. And Angel Flight is part of that way. So I really am forever indebted to you all for what you do. And if there's ever anything I could do for you, I will gladly do it.
You're hired.
My life.
Tami, you always inspire me with your words of encouragement and wisdom.
That's what you hold on to when you're in the darkest moments. That's what keeps going. So I appreciate that. We
were actually just on your podcast 2 days ago, Tami's Table. So if you want to hear us keep talking, you should definitely go listen to that one too.
Absolutely. It's amazing. I'll send you guys the replay link. It was so great. You know, there's a story to be told. At first, the producer was like, so what's the angle? I'm like, they saved my kid's life. That's the angle. Beyond that, like there's a lot to talk about, but they loved it. I thought you guys were phenomenal. And I hope you'll come back on again. That was great.
Anytime.
Very cool. Well, thank you for this. I love chatting with you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
And we'll see you at Wings and Wheels.
Absolutely. I'll see you in September.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a great afternoon.
You too.
Oh wow. My gosh, she's so cute.
I know. She's just so encouraging. I'm like, do you ever have a bad day? You make me never want to have a bad day.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it. She like really makes me think that every mom has a superpower. And by a superpower, I mean all superpowers.
I know. Just what she had to endure with Trey and the cost of an air ambulance at the beginning is just crazy to think about.
I didn't realize that part. And my brain is like still spinning, trying to collect the air ambulance with twin like little guys and 2 older kids on top of that. There's just so many moving parts.
I know. And his flight photos are always so cute. He just looks so happy.
They really are so cute. And I'm so happy to see like how successful her podcast is and telling her story and Trey's story. They're awesome.
Yeah, it just kind of comes full circle too, because I always love people saying they want to do whatever they can to help us, but also we want to do whatever we can to continue to help them and promote her nonprofit and all the great work she's doing.
Absolutely. And I really want to know more about this flight partner they have who provides care for the flights for special needs kids.
I know. I feel like they need to be our friend too.
Right?
We do need more friends.
Thank you for listening. Please sign up to be our friend.
Our emails are on the website if you need to contact us.
Right. But also, if you don't need to contact us, we appreciate just saying hi.
Do you think people are sick of us yet?
I don't know. I mean, it's only been a week.
That's true. It's only been 4 episodes. I hope they keep subscribing.
Right. Just don't unsubscribe. My personality can't handle that. Just ignore us instead.
Yeah, I have to share an office with her, and I don't want her to be cranky.
I'll be so sad. I would take that as a personal attack.
That's why we have high news in our fridge.
Just don't tell the boss. P.S. Jess is my boss.
I think I might have put them there.
Yeah, I think you actually might have.
Oh boy. Now I'm going to get in trouble. I hope our board's not listening.
If they are, we'll share.
We really appreciate you continuing to listen to us, especially at the end. We hope you think we're a little bit funny and entertaining. I do.
Yeah. Either way, we can't wait to talk to you again next week.
See you then.
That's it for today's episode of Takeoff Talk with Angel Flight East. If you want to learn more about our services, please visit our website at www.angelflighteast.org or call our office at 215-358-1900. Join us in our mission. If you're a healthcare worker or a patient in need of air travel and flight services, AFE is here for you. Subscribe to the show so you can hear more stories. Join us again next week right here on Takeoff Talk.